need to get comfy for this video. Hey guys, so this video is going to be a doozy. So we're just gonna have a very relaxed, chill kind of chit chat video. Every time I sit down to kind of script it out or write an outline for it, I have a mental breakdown. So we're just gonna go with the flow today. We're gonna have a real candid conversation. I'm gonna get vulnerable here and share my extreme fear of aging. Today is actually my birthday. Not today that I'm filming this video, but the day I upload this video, it will be my birthday. And I'll tell you, I'll kind of get into why 29, I'm turning 29 today, why 29 is such a hard number for me. But first, we have a sponsor on today's video. I just want to thank Audible for sponsoring this video because I feel like a real YouTuber now that I have an Audible sponsor. So you can get your first audiobook for free when you sign up for the 30-day trial of Audible if you text the code sarahhawkinson to 500-500 or go to audible.com/sarahhawkinson. They also offer Audible Originals, which are exclusive titles that are told by celebrated storytellers with diverse topics such as theater, literature, journalism, and so much more. And real talk, one of the ways that I've been dealing with my fear of aging is actually learning as much as I can about physical health and mental health, because both are very essential in living a super long time. So Audible has a lot of great self-improvement titles, and I highly recommend downloading the audiobook How Not to Die by Michael Greger. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, which, you know, is a very fitting book title for the theme of today's video. So make sure you go to audible.com/sarahhawkinson or text Sarah Hawkinson to 500-500 to get started with your free trial and free audiobook. So I don't really know where to start for this video because there's so much, and I've created little topics. Like, this is my outline. Like, you can't even see that. There's like 6 little bullets. That's all I could do. And normally when I sit down to write out an outline for a video, it's like 3 pages. So we got 6 bullet points to work from today. So I apologize if the video is really long or if it is just all over the place and kind of rambly. I'm going to try to keep it concise and, you know, share my thoughts candidly. I don't know. We'll fix it in editing, hopefully. I don't know. And I feel like I'm crooked. I need to fix this. Okay, well, let's just start with topic number 1 and get that out of the way, because I don't want this video to be kind of vain or about vain things, and it's really deeply rooted in not vain things. So first being, you know, fear of aging is the aesthetics that go along with aging. Now, I am seeing differences in my body, in my skin, just in my health overall. It is different being in my late 20s, almost 30. And this is also very personal to me. This is not to say that 30 is old by any means. I don't believe that. And it's not to shame people who are in their 30s or, you know, just because I am scared to get there, it's for personal reasons that are very personal and like ingrained in me, and I'm working on it. I've actually set a life goal to live to be 100. I know that's weird, but that is ultimately my biggest goal in life at this stage of my life. And having that goal set, it really helps me work on myself to, you know, make sure I'm mentally stable and stress-free, because stress kills, and also healthy, and, you know, working on my diet and exercise and things like that to make sure I make it as far in this life as I can. And I do have to explain that, you know, fear of aging, it goes along with fear of death, which I have always had. I've been scared of dying my whole life, and that's really where my anxiety stems from. It's always, every time I leave my house, am I gonna die today? And I know that's so dramatic, and like, we shouldn't think that every time we step outside of our house, but there's a lot of layers to my fears and anxieties about everything in life. And honestly, I feel like one of the layers is YouTube causing me to be a little agoraphobic. Since I have not been in a real job or in the workforce where I leave my house every day, for the past 6 years, I've been doing YouTube full-time in my house, working from home, and I love it. That's one of my other goals in life, is to work from home permanently. I just feel like it suits me. But in the same token, it also hurts me and it hinders me, I feel like, in life. Every time I go farther and farther away from my home, I feel like my chances of dying get larger and larger, and so my anxieties get worse. And so trips for me are huge stepping stones. Like, I am working on it, and this year I will actually go the farthest away from home I have ever been, and I'm going to Denver, Colorado in July, and I'm so excited because I've always wanted to go to the Rocky Mountains, but you know, there is a part of me that's like, the farther I go, the feeling of dying gets stronger. I know this is a very dramatic conversation we're having right now, but I just want to be real and honest and open about my feelings, especially around my birthday, because this is, for some reason, this is the birthday that just feels the most meaningful. And 29 is such an arbitrary number. It is just a number. It really doesn't mean anything. And we'll get into societal expectations and things like that in a bit. But the reason why 29 seems like such a large step for me is because it is the last year in my 20s. And I just want to make sure when I hit 30 that my 20s are full of life and full of memories and positive experiences, and I don't know if I've hit that. And so I feel all this pressure to kind of jam-pack things into my last year of my 20s, because I just want to make sure I didn't waste my 20s. And I do feel like there are years that I wasted, given my anxieties about travel and things like that. That's not to say that I can't do that in my 30s, and that's kind of what I'm telling myself every day, that I feel this kind of self-consciousness of, well, you didn't do much in your 20s, and trying to remind myself that I've actually done a lot in my 20s, and I've grown so much. I've gone through so much, a lot of it off camera and off YouTube. But this is, you know, 28 was not a big deal. I was like, ooh, I'm really in my late 20s at 28. But this birthday is the last year of my 20s. So you know, in 1 year, I'm gonna look back and be like, that's a whole decade, a whole nother decade down and gone. And I know that sounds so negative, and I'm working on it. I really am. And it's not really as detrimental as it sounds. Like, this is something that I think about almost daily, but it's never really in a life or death anxiety driven situation. It's really when I sit down to think about it, like when I try to outline this video, and even sitting down now talking to you, I feel anxious. I've definitely worked on my fear of death. I always thought that I was gonna die before 30, and that's why I didn't care about getting my license and facing my anxiety about driving for so long, you know, not driving until I was, what, 24, and like taking my time in college because I was like, well, I'm gonna die young. I just had this feeling, you know, and it was so strong for so long, and now I'm about to hit 29 and I feel like, am I coming to an end? Or am I, you know, I'm just trying to look at it like, no, you actually have 70 years left. Like, I don't want to look at it and be like, I've lived almost 30 years of my life, because that to me feels like almost halfway. Because when you think about half of 60, 60 is getting there, and my parents are, you know, in their 60s, and so I hope that that's not the end. So I'm doing everything I can, I think, to live as long as possible. So 100 is just another arbitrary number I've put out there, but that would be amazing if I could live to be 100. I'm actually going to be doing a video called How I Plan to Live to be 100, and like basically everything that I'm changing about my life to ensure that I get as old as possible. God forbid any accidents happen, because those are obviously out of our control. Unless you don't leave your house like me, because then it's just, that's the other thought that goes along with that. It's like, well, I hope all this effort doesn't go to waste and I die in an accident, because that would suck. So then I try to just avoid them as much as possible by not leaving my house and not going outdoors. Okay, let's get back to aesthetics. I kind of started, I didn't really start it. I like mentioned it and then it got sidetracked. See, that's what happens when I am just doing a video, casual talking without structure. So this is the most vain part of aging. It is kind of sad to me to see myself getting older, because I mean, it's cool. It's, you know, interesting to me, because this body is like, I appreciate it so much. It's done so much for me, and we've survived 29 years together. You know, I'm bonded with it, and my mom has always been so inspirational because she's never dyed her hair or, you know, done it. She doesn't wear makeup or do anything to her skin. And she's like, I've earned these wrinkles. I've earned this gray hair. And I think that's so inspiring to me. I'm not saying I would do that necessarily. I would probably still dye my hair if I had gray hair. Who's to say though? Who knows? I already, you know, don't wear makeup that often. So I could totally see myself following in my mom's footsteps of not doing anything as I get older and being like, this is who I am. I've earned every sign of aging that you see. I need a sip of something. My voice is like... Anyway, but it's not just the exterior outward appearance, it is also the physical health that I feel in my body. You know, the jokes of like, oh, I feel it in my hips and my knees hurt, you know, I can feel when the weather changes in my knees, and it's like, am I 80? Like, you know, I have this fear of my body getting weaker and weaker, and obviously it's super gradual and reversible. I can change that with exercise, and I plan on doing that, trust me. But like strength-wise, health-wise, I feel like I'm past my prime, and now I really have to make sure I'm doing right by my body, by eating right and exercising and making sure it is healthy, because I got through so many years in my 20s of being able to not have to do that. Like I didn't really need to, because I was like in my prime. That was the prime time. I keep saying prime, we get it. And yes, this kind of has to do with dating a younger man. Ryan, in case you didn't know, my boyfriend is 4 years younger than me. So he's about to turn 25 in April. So that is part of it, but I honestly don't feel that self-conscious about it, because I don't know, I feel like I genuinely don't really look my age. And I don't mean that in a cocky way, like I'm so young looking. I genuinely think that I don't look 29. Like I mean, when I look in the mirror and I see the wrinkles, I get it. I see the 29 in my skin. But, you know, from this far back, day to day, living my life, I feel like people won't really believe that I'm 29. And that's a good feeling. Also, I don't feel 29. At most, I feel 24. So it's a really strange... Anyone else have that where you just never feel your age? I've never in my life felt my age. I've always been a late bloomer in every aspect of my life. So it's kind of all I have to talk about for aesthetics, as far as like my physical body health and like getting weaker and like seeing the aging on my face, but it's really not about that. That is the least of my worries at this stage. It's really, I mean, yes, I bought a retinol and I bought a gallon of sunscreen for my birthday as a present to myself, because I do want to prevent it. I want to make sure I stay on top of my skin and take care of it, you know? I'm not just gonna be like, whatever. But wrinkles are inevitable, and I have no interest in fillers or Botox or anything like that. I probably will never touch that in my life. I mean, I would pass out, so I'm just too scared of that kind of thing. But also, I just don't feel like it's necessary, because my mom has always taught me to earn your wrinkles and earn your gray hair. So I feel like that's cool, you know? Anyway, let's just move on to, ooh, the ones I wrote down next are kind of dark. I don't know if we should go to that yet. We'll end with the dark one. So the next reason why I'm so scared of getting older is the pressure on my future life. Feeling the overwhelming feeling, this is the one that hit this year, of I really only have this one life. Like, it's very daunting to be like, I have almost lived 30 years of this one life that I have. And am I really enjoying it? Am I making the most of it? And that puts so much pressure on the future and like the next 30 years of my life. And then there's this feeling of time going by so fast. Like 1 year to me is nothing, because I've already lived 29 of them. So a year passes so fast, and it only gets faster as we get older, right? The more years you live, the shorter each year becomes. So that is a very scary feeling, because years right now feel so short that to think that they could feel even shorter as I get older, horrifying. I feel like I'm not even looking at you. I'm just like staring off into the distance. So that makes me feel like my next 40 to 70 years, hopefully, are gonna fly by, because I feel like looking back, my life has already flown by so much. And one of the reality checks that I feel are the younger generation, like graduating high school. So thinking about the future, there's so much pressure on it, but then there's also this pressure of the past. It's like this thought process of, did I waste my past? Did I do enough? Am I doing enough currently? Am I gonna make sure that the next part of my life is fulfilling? People put so much pressure on your 20s, I saw this list the other day that was so obnoxious. It was like things you need to do about the time you hit 30. And it was like, go bungee jumping and travel abroad, live abroad, study abroad. Bitch, when am I gonna have money for that in my 20s? But I will say I'm not going to turn 30 without a passport. I'm getting my passport by the time I hit 30. You can quote me on that. Anyway, but there is this societal pressure of everything you need to get done by the time you hit a certain age, or like things that you need to do in your 20s, and they're so arbitrary. Like these things do not matter at all. And I've always preached that, so it's not really that, you know, daunting or anxiety inducing to me to think about the things that I didn't do in my 20s, because who's to say that I can't do those things in my 30s if I even want to do them at all. I'm never going bungee jumping, like never gonna do that. But if I wanted to, why can't I do that in my 30s? Why is that something that needs to be contained to the 20-year decade? I don't. And that goes for a lot of things, like having kids, getting married. Why do people put so much pressure on doing that in your 20s? Like, I've heard so many people in their 30s say that the 30s are where it's at, and that they've never been happier than in their 30s. And I feel like that is a really prime time for life and living, because you're getting financially stable, you're figuring out your job situation, your career, hopefully a relationship, you're figuring that out if you're interested in relationships, of course, and you want to date, you know, you're figuring out that part of your life, you're getting settled in who you are as a person, like on the inside, and, you know, just your life. And I feel like that is truly the best time of living, is when you're becoming more established. 20s to me, hectic, just stress like throughout all of my 20s, because you're trying to figure out what the heck you want to do, and you have to make all these decisions, and you're not sure if they're the right ones, and you're not even sure in who you are. Like, your brain isn't even done developing until 24, 25, so you're still growing as a person, literally. So I feel like hitting 30 is actually an exciting period, and I'm trying to spin my anxiety and my fear of getting older into excitement for the future, because I feel like that is truly where I'm going to find, I don't want to put too much pressure of like, I'm going to find happiness, because obviously I've talked about that, and you know, happiness is just an emotion. It passes like all other emotions. But I feel like, I mean, I've never been more confident than I am right now at this age. So I feel like that can only get better as I get older, and that's really exciting for me. So the last topic I want to talk about, and this is the one that causes mental breakdowns, and I'm just not sure how to handle it. And I wish I should have just talked about it in the past and then like ended on that positive note of like, I can't wait to be in my 30s. Like, now we're gonna end on a dark note, and that's weird. We'll try to come full circle here, but mortality, not just mine, everyone around me's mortality scares the shit out of me. I have never lost someone close to me, and that I am so lucky I've gone this long without having death really affect me. But I mean, just like I've been scared of my own death, I'm scared of losing people, like to death. Like that, I can't even fathom what that's like to lose someone like that. So that is ultimately my biggest fear in getting older. Every year that passes, I'm like, okay, I'm getting closer to losing people. That includes my cats, my parents. God, that's really what causes some anxiety, is my parents' health, and I just don't know how I'm gonna handle it. And I just hope that I mean, no one's ready, but I just hope that I am stable enough to handle it and get through it. I mean, you have to. There's no other option but to go through that, you know, like it's just a natural process. And it does really help when my mom explains to me, because we've had some scares with her in the past. The last one was a couple days ago. She has a blood clot in her leg, and she's had that for years and years, decades. And, you know, that might end up leading to amputation one day, but she had another blood clot the other day and almost had to go to the hospital, and it was scary. So what comforts me is her not being afraid. She's never scared when these things happen to her. She's always just calm, and like, you know, even when she thought she was gonna die, when we've had a worse scare in the past, she's like, you know, I'm not afraid of death anymore. Like, she's content with her life, and she's like, I raised you, and I'm so proud and happy. So it does help that she's not afraid, you know, but I don't know what I would do without her. So it is a very scary thought to like lose someone. And I already feel like I have a very small group of people in my life that I'm really close with, and so the thought of losing any one of them is life-changing and like groundbreaking to me. So I just hope that I am stronger than I think I am, because I am very sensitive and emotional as a person. So even just making an outline to talk about my fear on a YouTube video causes a mental breakdown. I'm really happy I'm keeping it together today, to be honest. And I'm on my period, so we're doing so good. Maybe I am stronger than I thought. Go me. I could ramble about this for hours, and I already have for like 30 minutes, so we're gonna try to edit this down a little bit, but I do want to keep most of it in and be open and candid with you guys about my thoughts about turning 29 and it being my birthday and things like that. And of course, this isn't for pity or any fishing or anything like that. I just want to be open about how I feel getting older, because I feel like it's not talked about a lot. And I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, I'm in this older YouTube community, and that feels so strange that I'm like, I've been doing this for 9 years now, and there's a new generation coming in. And I just feel like with that is what is the most interesting, but I still want to be myself, and I want to be real and talk about older things. And I feel like we're old ladies over here, but I just feel like a lot of you have grown with me, and I have a certain demographic that has stuck with me this whole time, and you guys are the OGs, and I feel like we all go through this together and we're growing together. And so I just want to keep that level of authenticity with you guys and talk about that. And like, you know, my channel has changed so much over the years, and that's because I've changed and I grow. And this is just a part of the growing process, is turning 29 and facing the last year of my 20s with strength and optimism and hope, and pushing away the anxiety, not like forcing it, because like we can't do that, but it just comes back 10 times stronger, but being confident in that I am stronger than I think I am, and I can do these things, and I can get through things, and I will, and I hopefully will live to be 100 years old, so I don't have to worry about my life or dying. So yeah, I hope you guys liked this kind of all over the place random video. Thank you again, Audible, for being the sponsor. I really appreciate it. It really helps me out, and thank you guys for being patient with all my sponsors. I really appreciate it. I could not do this without you guys, and I could not be more grateful, so thank you. So with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a comment and share your opinions and your thoughts if you feel similarly, or if you have any good advice for me, please leave that down below. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.